ZIMBO, 5 years a Norwich City player. Now the time has come to say goodbye. Can you try to sum up your emotions for us at the moment?
Um, well, at this very moment, it is hard to say. I'm obviously a bit torn because it's a bit of a decision, head versus heart, because those 5 years here have been amazing. They have been crucial and they have been the best in my career. So many things have happened in those 5 years. Obviously, with the football club, with two promotions, with great seasons, with some games even as a captain. There were some lows with relegations, with injuries. Unfortunately, well, too many injuries in the past 2.5 years. So it's been uh, a lot that has happened as a player, but also for me as a person. I came here when I was 24, basically on my own, and yeah, within those last years, got engaged, got married. My wife then moved over here. Our first child was born here. The second one's on the way. That unfortunately not going to be born here anymore then. But no, it formed me as a player on the one hand, but it even more formed me as a person. Sort of going from a young adult to a grown man to a family father, and this place just held so many good things for me and has so many good memories for me now. So it's been crucial, and as I said, in my career, but probably not just that, but overall in my life. So those 5 years have just been amazing, and I will always look back on them with a very big smile on my face. Um, yeah. So as I said, it's a bit head versus heart because my heart is here. My heart will probably, or some pieces of my heart will always be in this place because it's been so good for me in all the terms. Everyone at the football club has been brilliant to me, on the pitch, off the pitch, around the football club as well. The people just in the city and in this county have been amazing, and it's very difficult to leave that behind. And that's also that's what I said when there was a chance to leave. Um, it needs to be something that I'm convinced of and something good because I'm not willing to give up what I and what we as a family have here at the football club and in this area for just something else. It needs to be something good.
Let me just take you back to June 2017 and your first interview with the club, when you said that you'd always dreamed of playing in the Premier League from a young age. You and your brother would stay up late in Germany to watch the Premier League highlights. Daniel Farker and Stuart Webber brought you to Norwich, and that young boy's dream came true.
Well, um, first of all, I think I mentioned that interview. Yeah, you have those dreams when you're younger, and sort of reality catches up with you. You see, oh, there's actually so many good players out there. It's so hard to even make it as a professional. And I mean, it's taken me until I was 24 because this time here's the first time I really call myself a professional. Because in Germany, in the lower leagues, it was sort of in between. And yeah, I mean, when I signed, it was obviously championship, and it's taken us 2 years to get promoted. But then, yeah, that dream became reality, and that became the reality probably a bit quicker than I would have expected. Certainly, given how the first season went, just with a mid-table finish. But then, yeah, in the second season, we just sort of turned it around and it clicked, and it all worked out. And yeah, I do remember that interview. I've given it at Corney at the training grounds. I was just, and then I didn't know what to expect, what was coming. Obviously, the ties with Daniel were obvious, so he was the one contacting me, asking me if that was an option for me to join Norwich, and then it also went really quickly back then, and I was just very glad that Daniel and Stuart have given me the opportunity. They've taken a chance on me, and it was also a risk for them because I came from the fourth tier in Germany. I didn't have a contract anymore, so no one knew how that was gonna end. But I think especially at that time, those two were the only two people who believed in me and who have seen that there's potential to make it happen. And it has, well, it has entirely changed my life for the better, I can say. If that wouldn't have happened, I don't know. I've told my story a few times. Probably I would have stopped playing at that age. Probably I would have said, "Yeah, I'll study. I'll do something like a proper job, do something with a bit more, security, something that you can do until you retire at 60, 65 or so. But no, instead, those two have given me the great opportunity to follow my dream. And then, yeah, obviously playing in the Premier League became reality, even though I think I told it was just 20 games for me. Could have been a bit more. But I do not have any regrets about that. I'm just happy that it happened.
And that first promotion to the Premier League was a season that you were heavily involved in, oftentimes as captain. It was a culturally diverse team of players from many different countries around the world, sort of wanting to prove their talent at Norwich. And looking back, that must have been a special group to be a part of and to lead onto the pitch.
Definitely. I mean, a promotion is always nice, and I'm happy we had two of them. To me personally, the first one felt more special. Probably was just the first time it happened. The group we had together was unbelievable. I think with the club's financial situation at that point, we had to be a bit creative and innovative, and we basically signed Emi Buendia from nowhere. No one really knew where he came from, but he was an amazing club signing. One of the many that the club has done really well with. Yeah, that first season that we got promoted was, I think, just exciting football. I know we weren't always perfectly solid at the back, but we scored, I think, 94 goals, if I remember correctly. We had, I think, 94 points. We had so many dramatic late winners. I mean, I think probably the best example was the Millwall game, the 4-3 at home, where we scored twice and added time to turn the game into a 4-3, and that's amongst one of my best memories. I have just that emotion, and it's hard to believe it's already just over 3.5 years ago. It was just great to see how all those players from different parts of, not just Europe, but different parts of the world have been playing together. And also towards the end of the season, we had a fairly young back four, most of the time with Max, myself, Ben Godfrey and Jamal. And I mentioned that after the Leeds game where we won 3-1 away at Elland Road, that it was just a great feeling because you've built a relationship with those players and you're looking right and left next to you and you're thinking, yeah, we're a unit, like we belong together and we want to make our dream come true and win promotion. And then having achieved that here against Blackburn, winning the league, having the promotion party, having the parade through the city, there's just so many good memories that I'll always be happy to look back on.
Have you had the chance to speak with Dean and the squad and to say your goodbyes?
Yeah, that was one thing that was really, really important to me. I spoke to Stuart a few days ago, and when it was all looking like, yeah, this move is really going to happen, then I said, and he said the same thing. We were both keen on when I'm really, really going, that we do it right, and that those 5 years will then have been right from start to finish. So there have been a few examples with Mario and Alex Tete when they left. The way they got to say goodbye, I think that was something where I said, that's what I would wish for myself as well. And I feel after the time here, that's on the one hand what I deserve, but also what the club deserves. That it's not just, oh yeah, he's left, he's nowhere and never to be seen again. That's the last thing I would have wanted to happen, and therefore we were trying to find a good solution. And then we had the trip to Marseille on the weekend. After the game, we then, because the plane didn't get to Marseille in time, we had to stay overnight. And it was unplanned, and I wouldn't have favored that solution, but it gave me the opportunity to then the next morning before we left from the hotel to the airport to speak to the group, to tell the players and the staff that had traveled that Marseille was my last game for the football club, and to speak to them for a few minutes, basically thanking them, wishing them all the best. And I just wanted to reassure them that this time here and this place just means the world to me. And that everyone has contributed in their own way and made it very, very special. The night before that, I talked to Stuart, and also a bit later I talked to the gaffer, of the assistants, to Alan, our new set piece coach, and also to Ed Wooten, the goalkeeper's coach. And I had a good talk to them, and every one of them, from Dean, Shaky, Liam, they were all understanding. I was just happy I had that conversation, because it was very open and honest and very respectful, and that's the way the whole 5 years have been. So I'm happy I could have also, I had the chance also to end it that way, because quite often in football, I think when it goes so quickly, you don't really have the chance to say goodbye. And that's something that's really important to me, because I feel I need to close this chapter first and do that properly before I can head on to the next. And I think the people who've known me over a while now have seen that I was committed, and that I've tried to give everything for this football club. And that's what I then also want to give to my new club, because I feel wherever you're working as a player, that's what the club deserves. And therefore it's important to then, try to finish one thing right, and then being able to start the other.
In terms of the new chapter, what can you tell us about your next club and why you've chosen to move there?
Well, my new club, Darmstadt 98, is playing in the second league in Germany. Last season they were quite close to reaching the top 3, and in Germany the first 2 win direct promotion, the third one has a 2-leg playoff against the bottom third from the Bundesliga. So they were very close at third place. Unfortunately, they just finished 4th. The second league in Germany is similar, like Championship, always very competitive, and you can never really predict who's going to finish top and who's going to finish bottom. That's what makes it very exciting. So, but it's just 18 and not 24 teams, so there's a slight difference in the amount of games. I've been in contact with them. I think it started about 1.5 weeks ago. I heard of the interest, and I was obviously, this summer thinking I need to play games, because of how the last 2 years basically went, with hardly any game time. And in my head, with my injury history, I was not expecting that there would still be a club that really wanted to sign me for good. I just thought probably clubs would just take the security route and think, okay, we're going to loan him out maybe for 6 months, because if something happens like it did in the last 2 years, at least it's just 6 months, and then we could always send him back if it doesn't work. But that club showed great interest in me, and offered me a permanent deal over 3 years. So that's when things got really interesting, and I said, okay, I'd like to also get in touch with the manager. So I had a good talk to him, and it all sounded very, very interesting and very promising. And then over the last couple of days, things have just speeded up, and I was getting more and more open to that option. And that's probably where I also don't want to be mistaken. It's not, oh great, it's Germany, I can go back home to Germany. It's the opposite, to say. So it's sort of a side effect that then, family, like my parents, my wife's parents, are a bit closer. But that's not the reason being. The reason is, from what I've heard from the club, and what Stuart also told me about the club, and what Onel told me about their manager, because he's been working with him at Braunschweig. It's a club that's run well, that's very solid, that also prides themselves in being a family club, and that's similar like here, and that's gone well this one time, so I hope it's going to go well a second time. And then the whole package just seemed to work out for me. But it's not like, oh, we want to go home because my wife's pregnant, we want to go home because we're Germans. It's not the personal note that made the decision. It is the sporting perspective that was outlined to me, and the way they are trying to achieve that. And that then, made sense to me. And I said, look, I think this is a good time, also given my situation, given my age. And probably it's then the right time for me to move on. Because as much as I loved the reception I always got here at the crowd, from the crowd at the ground, also in the last few years it was more like when I was going for the warm-up, the Snake Pit was giving me a warm welcome, and that's always appreciated. But I don't want to look back and say, the last 2 or 3 years I was just warming up on the sideline and people were loving it. I'm a footballer after all, and I want to be on the pitch. and I have a good opportunity to get more game time there again. So that was the key factor for the decision.
Yeah, sounds like a good fit, and of course we will wish you all the best over there. Look forward to seeing how it goes. Just turning attention back to Norwich for a moment. What do you think that you'll miss most about this dressing room, playing for this team, this club, and also living in this city and the county of Norfolk?
Where do I start? Um, there's so many great things about the place itself. Starting big and going smaller. So I start with the county. We've been lucky to explore a lot of Norfolk, of the seaside. Well, not just Norfolk, also a bit of Suffolk, not too much, but a bit of Suffolk as well. There's lovely places all around the coast, also in the countryside, and yeah, we were exploring before we had children, and also with our son, some pieces of some places of Norfolk. I always have to say I enjoyed the look when we were flying back in from away games, because Norfolk from the air is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. Just seeing the countryside and the Broads. It's yeah, every time you come back here, it's like you're coming back home. It's a very nice thing, and a nice feeling that you get when you're then flying back into Norwich. Everywhere I went so far, the people have been so friendly and so kind. And yeah, I know it's a one club county, but still, I don't think everywhere you're being recognized as a footballer. I think it's not just because you're a Norwich player that people are being kind to you. It's just the general attitude of most of the people in this area that made it very special, and it also made it very easy for me to settle in here. Then Norwich as a city, to me, to us as a family, it got everything we need. It's the right size. It's got like a beautiful city center. I don't know, I've stopped counting, but a couple of hundred churches, I think. So every corner, oh yeah, there's a coffee shop, there's a hairdresser, oh, and there's a church again. For us, it was just good because we've stayed here for so long, so we knew all our ways to the nursery for our son. I don't know, to the doctors for my wife, and for scans to the hospital. Where we would go in the city center on an afternoon off for a coffee, or if we had a lunch or dinner. We've made so many friends around here, so this place is our home. It's not like Germany is really our home, or where I was born or where my wife was born. We consider Norwich our home because we've been here for a good amount of time, and just because we know so many things about this place, and all the routines that we have are based around here. So that's just one thing that it was just natural for us to live here, also natural to speak English, and also great to see our son growing up with English and German. That's definitely something we're going to miss, because that's a great thing for children. Yeah, and then about the football club, ever since I walked through the door, ever since Stuart picked me up from the airport for my medical just over 5 years ago, everyone welcomed me with open arms and an open heart. And it was not like I was the biggest ever club signing, like I was the rising star. I was basically a nobody when I came here. And it was great to see that people did not care about that. They've just given me a chance, not based on what I've done so far, but just because the club signed me, and people were thinking, yeah, it's worth giving him a shot. Everything at the training grounds, all the people from the groundsmen, the kitchen staff, the physios, the people working in the offices doing the recruiting or doing the player liaison stuff. You get along with everybody, even with the security guys. So Kevin yesterday, when we said goodbye to the security guards, he said, "Oh, no, here's my number. If you need anything, just let me know." And that just sums it up in a good way. Like, you're probably not closest in your time with the security man, but it was always a very personal relationship, and always something where I felt that really came from the heart. And obviously you then head on to Stuart, to whom I've had a very good relationship, and I hope that's always going to be the case even after I've left the football club. Delia, Michael, and Michael, I've had 25 years. Just I think last November we had the anniversary, and I was invited for the anniversary, and that just showed me what a special part I also played for the football club, because there've not been many players invited that, and I consider myself very lucky being amongst them and sharing this milestone with them. So yeah, I could go through every single name I think at the football club and say something very positive about them, but I'm afraid we won't have time for that. No, it's just the general attitude that people in and around the football club have embraced me and have this place been my home for the last 5 years. Yeah, then simple things like I had to move houses 2 times. So I lived here very close in an apartment to the stadium, then one house, and then just for 8 or 9 months we lived now in another house. And the neighbors we have there, as I said, we didn't know them before. I mean, Alex Ted you probably know because it was his old place. But then when we moved in there, yeah, it just sort of clicked from the first minute, and it was great for me to see when I'm on away games. My wife's got friends next door. Ben and Kelly have 2 children as well, so that worked well with our boy. And as weird as it sounds, we've hardly known them for a year, and they sort of turned into our best friends. So those little things are something that you're just gonna miss. And it's not easy to say goodbye, I'm not gonna lie. But as I said, I think as a footballer, it is the decision that I have to take. But yeah, we will miss everything about this place.
Yeah. I mean, you see these people inside and outside of the club on a daily basis, and you've become a big part of the Norwich City family. One moment that the Norwich fans will always remember is the famous headed tackle against Wolves. Where does that rank among your sort of memories?
It's funny how quite often that still gets brought up somewhere when I don't know, when it's, oh yeah, on this day 3 years ago ZIMBO tackled someone with his head. It's more a fun moment, I would say. The good thing is everyone remembers the tackle, but hardly anyone remembers that I've lost the ball. So I was just repairing my own mistake really, and it's a funny seeing because I think myself and also I think Grant slips in the box. It just looks like slapstick. We got away in the end, and then Nelson scored in the last minute. So it was a good game to remember because also we then drew it there at the end, and I think Wolves were top of the table at that time. But that's more one of the fun moments. It's not one of the best moments.
And off the pitch, you've done a lot of work with the Community Sports Foundation at Norwich as well. How important was that to you?
The principle, the approach that a football club has a charity partner was something new to me. And I think I stressed that in my first interviews as well, because I didn't quite know what the job of the sports foundation was. Because in Germany, it's more that a football club probably towards Christmas time then cooperates with a charity, or that you do something nice for children or for people in hospital, for people who just won't probably have as nice a Christmas as they should have, or as the children should have. So that's just a common thing that I knew about, but I didn't know there was a charity partner that just works on a constant day-by-day level with a football club, where you can actually do so much good in the area. And the community work was always very important to me, because I feel that we are in a very privileged position as footballers. We have such a good life, and sometimes it's just very fine margins that make the difference between making it as a professional and having such a great life and being loved by fans and being able to play for great clubs, or not quite making it, and then you can be on the other end, on the other side, and you'll probably be the one who doesn't give support but who needs support. And I just felt there's so many good people in this area and so many good things that the Sports Foundation is doing for people who are good people and who just need a little bit of help, who just need a little bit of support, or with their disabilities, who've just been in a difficult position ever since they were born. And I think the most work I've probably done with Darren Hunter, Also in the time when I was living close to the stadium, and could just walk over 1 minute to Carroll Park and watch, or also sometimes join in some sessions. And it was just great to see how little it takes as a footballer to put a smile on children's faces. And it's coming back to the privileged position that we're in. For me, as a Norwich City player, certainly in this area, it just takes 5 seconds to have a picture taken with someone, to sign a shirt, or to have a quick chat with someone, and they're happy and it makes their day. And it does not cost me a thing. It costs me maybe 5 seconds of my time. But the reward that someone else gets from it is so high, and it wouldn't be the same if I wasn't playing for the football club. But just a simple factor, my profession changes so much, and yeah, can sometimes make their day or their week, or help them overcome difficult situations. So I think I once mentioned it'd be a crime not to do that job, because I think it's part of our job and it's our duty as a footballer to make most of our situation, most of our stages. And it's not like we have to, I don't know, we have to work an extra 5 hours every day to do something good. It doesn't really take much, and therefore I think that was always something that I was really aware of, and that's something that probably has to do with the way I was brought up from home, from my parents, that you always look after each other, that you always look after certainly people who are not as lucky as you have been in life. And therefore this was always at my heart to, yeah, then try and, on the one hand on the pitch, but also off the pitch, to leave a legacy once my time here comes to an end.
And moments like the ones that you refer to there have helped you build a strong connection with the Norwich supporters. I believe there's a ZIMBO appreciation society, and you know, win, lose or draw, we see you applauding the fans around the stadium at Carrow Road. What do the Norwich City supporters mean to you, Christoph?
Yeah, I for a long time I didn't know about the Appreciation Society because I'm not so active on social media. But then it was brought to my attention, I think, from my sister, from my sister-in-law, and she found some funny things on there. Yeah, it's also it's just nice. It's great to see that it really means a lot to me how much supporters value me as a person, because I think it's the one thing is the football, but the other thing is also the person that they see. And yeah, then the connection that I had to the supporters always meant a lot to me, because before my playing days here, it was under 23s for Dortmund and under 23s for Mönchengladbach. And certainly in Dortmund you do get a good crowd and you get supporters there, and Mönchengladbach a bit less. But it was the first time that we really had fans, 27,000 people in this grounds for every game. It was always sold out. And also when I've seen before the season, I think within hours, all the season tickets were gone. And I think it's, even though we had a fairly poor Premier League season, people, excuse me, will always come, will always support us. And it's just, for me, it was just important to give back. And I think that started probably after the QPR game, my third league game in my first season, the first win here at home. And I was just overwhelmed by sort of my first victory as a professional, as I would say. And I think I just went around like a lap of honor and applauded the fans and taken some picture. And I think that was something that was probably a bit unknown at that time, but it was just something where I thought, oh, I'm just over the moon with that game and with so many people around here, and it just felt right. And I think ever since, yeah, it was just common to at least applaud the supporters after the game, to thank for their support. And obviously on away games where so many people travel a long distance, because from Norwich anything is far basically. And then to see, I think the one game at Wigan, we had 5,000 people traveling in the first promotion season. Just seeing that support definitely on the road was also amazing. And people sacrifice not just their money, but so many hours, sometimes their whole day, their whole weekend to see us play. And you're never quite sure what you get. Championship, yeah, mainly we got them good results and good games to watch. But also in the Premier League, I think there have been many moments that haven't been great, but still the support was always there. I always felt that people were good to me and respected me just because they've seen I've given it all I've got. I know I'm not the most talented and most gifted player, but I always play with with desire and with my heart. And I think that's what they've seen, and that's probably something that not everyone always sees, and that's what made it so special, because I always felt, even when I had bad games or when I made mistakes, people were always good to me, and I think that's where that relation then came from. I think it was definitely mutual, that the supporters liked me and that I just loved playing in front of them.
Yeah, well, from myself personally and on behalf of all the Norwich staff, players and the supporters, it's been a pleasure to have you here, and we look forward to seeing what comes next.
Thank you very much.